I'm Zara. I am the organizer of this event and the special needs coordinator here at MCC East Bay. Thank you all so much for coming to this event. This is the second time we've done this special needs iftar, and it's really great to see everyone that comes out here to make this more of a safe space for the special needs community. If you have a child that wants to go in the back, we have lots of activities and games and all of that, but otherwise they're more than welcome to stay here. So how this is going to work is we have two great people to hear on this panel, and then I'll be asking them questions directed to both of them and tailored to what they do, and then some more general questions to kind of foster the conversation on eradicating the stigma against the special needs community and just assimilating and incorporating these people into our community. So to start off, I'd like to play a video by Muhsen, the Muslim organization that does a lot for the special needs community and those with physical and mental disabilities.
Goes out there and re-mosques that, an often forgotten group of unmosqued individuals and unmosqued families, in fact, that have people that have, children, that have people in their families, that have these special needs, that have these disabilities.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rachida Ahmad, and today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about my brother. I want to take this time to talk to you about my daughter, Serena, who is my first assistant now, and she's a bright, loving, kind, fun child who has this great toothless smile right now. She lost her tooth, and she also has cerebral palsy.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Priyal Tahir. I'm 15 years old, and I have a sister named Mehreen, and she's great at basketball. She's a whiz at the computers. She loves to eat, and she has autism spectrum disorder.
When I was 19 years old, my brother was diagnosed with mental illness, an invisible disability. At the time, there was no community support or religious outlets that we could turn to for help. So instead of being supported, we felt alienated and shamed.
There are so many families that are affected by this in our community, and we really don't see them. Because they're buried away while we're enjoying our khutbahs and we're enjoying our halaqas and we're enjoying all the great activities in the masjid. These families have been completely barred from the masjid, and when they set foot in the masjid, it's the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. So for many families, we're not just talking about those that have needs and disabilities, many families, the masjid has become a place to resent, because when they walk in there, all they get are the dirty looks, all they get are the, go home sentiments, rather than this is your home, because the masjid is the home of every believer, as the Prophet ﷺ said.
We just need a little extra help. We need a little extra support. We need a little understanding. But inshallah, we can get there. There's no reason not to. It's not asking for a lot. It's just asking for a little bit of acceptance, a little bit of sensitivity. And I think an organization like Mosque is the perfect vehicle to do that, inshallah.
I pray for the success of Muhsen, because had there been an organization that was around for us to connect to, that provided awareness, acceptance, and guidance, perhaps my brother wouldn't have been left alone. Perhaps my mom wouldn't have put herself to bed crying day in and day out. Perhaps families like ours would have had a place to go and people to support them through it.
What helps me get through everything when we're going through a struggle with Mehreen is that thinking that Mehreen is an angel. And if we hold on to a sinless angel like Mehreen, inshallah, she will help us on the day of judgment, and she will take us to Jannah, inshallah. And I would like other people to feel the same way.
Inshallah ta'ala, through Muhsen, we can begin to show ihsan to them, and hopefully we can make the masjid more comfortable for them, and they can make our day of judgment more comfortable for us by testifying on our behalf that we truly did ease the way for them.
If you or anybody in your family don't have somebody that you know with a disability, it might be hard for you to understand what we may be going through, but there's so much you can do to help. You can spread awareness and just being kind to somebody with a disability, or if a family with a disability, and be kind to them and welcoming to them. That'll make them feel really happy. Also, you can volunteer to watch them while the family gets involved in masjid activities.
I have been blessed and honored to develop and work for the Ummah Center, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering the lives of the underserved, the alienated, the disenfranchised, the poor. We provide education empowerment programs and basic need programs. And with every person that I have fed, educated, clothed, and served, I pray deep down that there is someone out there doing the same for my brother.
Okay, at this point, we're going to start with the directed questions. And so I'd like for each of our panelists to kind of introduce themselves and what they do and what their purpose is relating to this iftar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak, although we should say Eid Mubarak now. So I'm very blessed to be here today, and I've been honored to be here last year. And I thank Zara and anybody who work directly or indirectly to organize this kind of events, because they are really needed, especially among the Muslim community. So I would like to introduce myself. My name is Rachida Ahmad, and I work for Family Resource Navigators. It's a non-profit organization that is parent-staffed, parent-lead, and we do provide information, referral, services around all the Alameda County and Contra Costa County. So we basically provide information, developmental, educational, and we also financial, like as needed for family, like services like SSI or in-home support services. We do also provide advocacy, and we empower families to advocate for their children. So in case there is problems with IEPs or other services, we also connect for parents to RCB, Regional Center of the East Bay. Last year, we actually had somebody from the Regional Center of the East Bay, and they are also a great organization that every parent who have a child with special need to know about. And yeah, so we do have a lot of programs, and we try to help families who have children with special need, and we serve them on their own native speaking language. So we make it easy to just kind of like limit the language barrier. So
Well, of course, my name is Abdullah. I'm now currently my title right now, as they put me, the community youth specialist. So in other words, in Alameda County, I reach out to families who are in need or wanting information or resources about mental wellness, and that is a whole wide spectrum. That may include people with family with physical disabilities, mental illnesses, etc. The programs that I have helped coordinate is, since I am targeted to mostly youth, I cater to their needs and their rights. I like to listen to them and then give them the opportunity to have an open and safe environment to speak their mind without any judgment. And of course, there is privacy, so they have the right to keep the information within the group. And then I am the intermediary in trying to bridge the gap that the families or parents are not really supporting their child in. And so that is my goal, to have families to function, improve the functions and family outings.
So I'd like to start off asking Rachida if you could go a little bit more in depth on what Family Resource Navigators does and what kind of services are provided by the organization.
So just like I started with that we are providing referral and information to a family who have children with special need. So we do have, our mission is to mentor and support the families because it's a skill for life. Once you have a child with special need, you don't need somebody to keep helping you, but you need to learn the skill to keep doing it by yourself. So that's our mission. And we also encourage parents to get involved and improve the system by offering programs like a leadership program in which parents can get to learn disability advocacy organization in California and improve the system and also they kind of like learn the system and they learn how to write like I'm a little bit nervous, so sorry about that. So. Okay, so we do coach them and we provide them with the skills, and at the same time we have specific programs like support group in which we provide them with emotional support, and we try to have them network with each other. We have a lot of Muslim community, so since we serve people by their own language, so we have divided program into ethnicity. So we have a lot of huge Arabic community in Oakland, and we have Farsi, Dari, and Pashto community, and we also have Hindi, the Muslim Hindu, and then we also Muslim who speaks Hindi and Tamil, and we also have the Urdu speaking population. So we do have a program, this particular program, that's the languages I mentioned, we help them from the age of 0 to 21-year-old. So you can imagine like before we used to help only 0 to 5, and after the 5 years old is where there is a lot of concern start to arise because the child goes to school and a lot of professional or around that child, they can detect that there is something wrong about this child. And unfortunately, before these children at the age of 5, there is no mini organization that can support the parents and connect them to information or also to services. So now we got a grant from DDS, the Department of Disability Services, so we extended that age to the age of 21. So we've been doing this for the last 2 years, so we still have 1 more year, and our project looks fantastic, and I can see that it's gonna extend for another, it's just like a contract that finished next year, but we're gonna extend it, so it's a good news. So we do provide information and referral and support to the family, empowerment, coaching, whatever, you name it. So we do a lot to support this family because parenting a child with special needs is very challenging, and the family should not do it by themselves. It's very hard. I mean, a lot of parents are dedicated, they want to do it by themselves, but one hand cannot clap. One day they need to be around professional, they need to seek more of professional skills to continue their journey. So that's, I have a lot of flyers here if you need to have contact number for this particular language that I said, this particular flyer has all the information. The fact sheet explain what FRN is and what we do and who we serve. And there is also some information in Arabic. I don't think there's many Arabic speaking people here. So, yeah.
Okay, so the types of services we provide. So we're based in Fremont, California. I'm a mental wellness project. And the types of services we are developing and currently doing are after-school tutoring programs, cultural counseling, you know, since, mashallah, Bay Area has a vast variety of diversity, so we do have competence in cultural counseling, parental counseling and training, mentoring, crisis intervention, preventive counseling. We're really big on prevention counseling. Our organization does not diagnose any mental illnesses, but we do promote the tools and resources to guide you to help you with that. Other stuff we do is bilingual counseling, alcohol and drug awareness, peer pressure and its impact. I personally like movie nights because it does help kids to come. Nobody likes to be educated every day, so the time where kids come together, interact, and actually instead of doing self-diagnosis, what I've been doing is that I pick a movie that's obviously related to the children, and they actually diagnose the characters. they pick out the mental illnesses there. That way they can identify it and look it out in the real world, hopefully within themselves. That is the goal. Other things that I'd like to promote is educational activities and workshops. That's helping the parent to understand what the mental illnesses are and how to create a parameter in dealing with it. Another thing that I encourage is the communication skills, like I mentioned before. It is very important to have an open space where the children can speak. You heard the imam brother earlier saying that the child at an early age always wanted to participate in the meal dinners, and there was that gap of openness for him to communicate that, and it took years for him to do that. So that's just one example that you just heard. Another thing is the physical activities. Children with special needs, they are limited with mobility issues. Of course, with their limitations, there are opportunities for them to be out there and be physically active. We do have other programs that we are in the works, but of course it's in need services. So we are open to provide what the demands are.
So this question is kind of for both of you that you guys can answer, but what do you think are the best ways for the stigma against people with special needs to finally be eradicated completely?
Stigma. All right, so first of all, we'd like to thank MCC for doing just that, to provide the infrastructure and the space and the time for us to all be here. Unfortunately, as you can see, the audience, it's not too much. But the fact that you guys are here is a start. And so this is the second year, so we are growing. In the mosque, I am somewhat of I'm not considered as a special need, but I am a physical disabled person. And so it's my part to do the education. So I'll give you a prime example. Last night, I wanted to participate in itikaf. I decided to go to the Berkeley Masjid. So alhamdulillah, there is a ramp. I march up, I roll through the ramp, I try to open the door, and the door is locked. I turn around and I just wait in front of the door because the main entrance has steps to get it. So I looked upon myself, do I climb up the stairs and try to get in there, or do I be patient and see who comes? Because this is 3 o'clock at night. I mean, majority of the Muslims at Berkeley, I don't know, I don't know the population, but alhamdulillah, somebody came in. I spoke about the person. I'm like, sir, the door was locked. Can you please open the door? And at that moment, I had to be calm. And at the end of itikaf, during the suhoor, I notified one of the staff and be like, sir, the door was closed there. Is there something we can do in regards to preventing that from happening? Or another thing that I also like to promote is that is to smile for any family who have some sort of special needs. As you saw in the video, there is a lot of stress, and unfortunately, they take that stress with them. And so sometimes, when you do approach them, approach them with sincerity, and then and listen. Really, that's really what we have to do as a community. Anything you have in your mind, or any biased statement, or anything that you think of, just let that go, and then hear what the family has to say, because a lot of the families do have different challenges. Mine is a mobility challenge. Special needs family is different, and so allow that open space to let them have the microphone, I guess, like what I'm doing right now, and just listen. Another opportunity what we can do is that take initiative. A simple salam alaikum is what it is. It means peace be with you. So if you honor that, just do just that. Greet them with the biggest smile possible. Perhaps hug them if it's appropriate, and ask them questions, because all of us are ignorant. And so, and don't be afraid to ask any questions. And if it's insulting, be like, oh, did I offend you? Is it okay for me to say this? Because in the end, everyone's learning.
Thank you for responding to that question. It's really, I like the way you're looking at it. You're looking at it. So stigma is actually something that is in every home, in every culture, everywhere. So it's really, really hard to reverse that. But one thing I want to say, this disability is not disability, is just different ability. It's really, there is a balance. If some skills are taken away, there is other things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed that person with. And I really like the Muhsen, the way he said it, awareness, accommodation, and acceptance. I think that's what we should do as community.
Before we move on to the next question, I'd just like to say for anyone that just came in, if you'd like your kid to go to the back, we have volunteers that'll be with them. We have games and lots of activities for all of them, so we set that all up for them. But moving on, next question is, what role do you think the community should have to play when it comes to this kind of movement and this change?
You start out small, because no one can take on a full plate unless that's the type of personality you have. For me, as a person who uses a manual wheelchair, obstacles on the floor or things on the floor. I don't know if you noticed, Brother Munir was seeing me going over the carpet, and the person who does not have an electric chair, it's a lot of effort. And so Brother Munir took the liberty and be like, do you want me to push you? Alhamdulillah, of course, brother. You're saving me all the calories I can save up from not pushing myself, so why not? Another example, right? I was parking my motor vehicle outside, and I know the sister right in front of me who can probably attest to this. Her husband took the initiative to be like, brother, do you need help? A simple question. And I said, no, brother, I can actually do this. And if anything, it's easier for me to do it than you are. So I can educate you. We can spend here 5 minutes on the street where it's raining or sprinkling. And I robbed him from a good deed. I did. But I knew the situation. I was like, I need to get inside. We both need to get inside. That's a very good initiative, yes. No, I actually... That is very true. So I won't name the masjid where this happened to me. It's not here. I had parked at the disabled parking spot, and then there was this white stripe on the ground, and people may have noticed it, and anywhere there's a disabled parking spot. That spot is actually for the space. And so somebody, may Allah bless him or her, he was probably late for Salah, and he decided to park in that area. And so what I had to do was wait patiently until that person arrived. Obviously, I can call the tow truck. The agent, the person who actually worked there told me, do you want me to call the tow truck? I'm like, I'll be patient. I got nothing. I can wait. That's just one another example. Another example, that person who uses a wheelchair is perhaps holding the door for that person. It's not I mean, some people like to open the door by themselves, so that's why I really stress enough, ask. And so, can I open the door for you? Can I push you? For special needs family, if the audience have a special needs child, I will love for you to speak up, like the sister did. So this is your time. But for me, as a physical person with a physical disability, these are the small things I can ask. At the masjid, perhaps move the shoes away from the entrance. Another big thing, you know, I had a habit of rolling them over it, which I don't mind. One brother told me, I'll move mountains for you. I'm like, they're just slippers. You don't have to go overboard. But but he made me smile, and that statement alleviated that stress.
As a community, what we can do is like continue gatherings like this, event like this, and we can also organize few additional things like Sister Zara has initiated the support group, which is really great support for the family. I do want to suggest something like play groups for little ones, because they tend to have behavior problem and they're not accepted where typical kids are. So if like something like a play group for special need Muslim kids in which they can learn things related to Islam or in a friendly way, it would be really useful things for parents in which they can themselves come and feel accepted in similar culture.
Right now at schools with special needs programs, we can see that there's a lot of isolation between students and then the students that are in special needs programs. What can we do to mend this kind of gap, especially at the educational level? And do you think what role should the youth have to play in this kind of cause?
That's a very good question. So this is the answer to the parents. You are the role models. They look up to you. They follow you. When they're a child, they imitate you. So it's your responsibility to teach the kids about how to include others. Fortunately, I wasn't paralyzed before my elementary school, so I did not experience that, but I did see children being isolated. So in this regards, have the children to really be comfortable with themselves and approaching other people who are different from them, whether it be disabled or not, or just in general, just learning how to approach other people, especially youth, because with this will show other kids, it would be a model for other kids. Hopefully if they have that mindset, but that's why I'm targeting you parents, because it is your responsibility to do that. The teacher can do so much. The classrooms already are impacted, so the parents must take responsibility, and here this masjid has provided the space for you guys to practice this during the Iftar dinner, so please take initiative. In the actual school settings, you do have the resources that are out there. Like I mentioned, the program that the sister has or I have, you can reach out to us and we can provide the space where we can provide the training. And we can even go to the school setting and talk to the teachers or the principals, because they're always about making things exclusive. So take the initiative to talk to your children first. And if you don't have the skills or resources to do that, reach to programs such as like ours, and then we provide the training, inshallah.
At this point, I'd really encourage that all of you, if you have any questions or just anything you'd like to say, to kind of ask them now. We have these two speakers here, so it'd be really great if we could have questions to ask them. If not, I have more questions prepared, but I always like to do a little Q&A with the audience. Don't be shy, please.
Assalamu alaikum. So, my daughter, you guys just saw her. She's small. She's 12. She's going to be 13 soon, but she's small for her age. I think part of being accepted and being treated like others as much as possible is, one is the acceptance part, which I feel like we're good in this masjid, alhamdulillah. The other part, which is, I'm not pointing to a masjid or one specific community, it's just overall, is expecting from our children the way we would expect from, like treating them as we would treat a 12-year-old, for example. Because she's small, maybe, she gets treated a lot like a baby, and she likes that, but it's not something that I think would prepare her for her future years. So I think, and I think that's just one of the things that I just wanted to bring up, that accepting their special needs and accommodating for that, but also trying to treat them as we would treat any other child, like as in treatment, would be nice.
Assalamu alaikum. Wow, that's loud. Okay, so my name is Maria, Sister Maria Torres, and I have a master's degree in education, and I'm a school business administration credential. So I sit on both sides of the table. I have two autistic children, both on extreme ends. And as you can tell, I'm legally blind. I woke up 2 years ago blind, but I can see you guys. I'm not like completely blind. I can still see you guys. I'm just not as good at navigating and driving or anything like that. But anyway, I do serve as an advocate, and so I want to encourage anybody, when you guys have your 504 or your IEP meetings, when you reach out to these people, they probably have resources to free advocates. You have a right to call the school district and request, and they legally have to give you the name of 3 free legal advocates to attend your 504 or your IEP meeting with you. The only problem is that those are not always licensed people, and they don't always know the special ed law, and it does change as it pertains to minors. It does change year to year, not too much, but it does. So you do have that right. So don't forget that when you attend those IEP meetings, you have a right to invite any one of these guys. They can come. You can invite your next door neighbor. You have a right to invite anybody to those meetings that you want as a parent. That's your legal right. And if you go to those meetings and you're not getting their needs met, don't sign it. Don't walk away and sign something because you think that's the best thing that they can offer. You don't sign anything that isn't in the best needs of your children, ever. You can walk away from that meeting and say, I'm so sorry, I can't sign right now. I'll sign that we were here, we were present, and right now we're not in agreement with it, because there is a process to get the needs met of your child if the school district isn't yet ready to give the services that your child needs. So just make sure that when you do advocate for your child, if you're maybe not, don't know the ed codes or the laws or exactly what they need to do as it pertains to either the 504s or the IEPs or any of the special needs as that is, make sure you reach out to one of the organizations, because if they don't know it, they know who to find or where to go to get that information for you guys. So I think that's really important, because I have been on both sides, and I was on the other side of the table when my children were first diagnosed at the age of 2, and I didn't have that education, and I didn't know I had those rights. So now, having been on both sides and still there on both sides of the table, it does make a difference in what your child receives and their growth, for sure. So make sure you reach out to those action agencies, the regional centers, all those places, and get those resources, because they're there. And I can tell you, your child will get a lot more at that meeting when you have an advocate sitting there than generally. When they walk in that meeting, they're not giving you everything that they can. They really not. They're walking in with the least they can, and they're going to expect you're going to ask for more, and when you don't, they love it, because they get extra money for your child, but they're not always spending it on your child. So just make sure that you know what those resources are, and make sure, you walk in with a plan of what your child needs, and advocate for it. And your child can attend the meeting too, or they don't have to. It's up to you or them, and invite people. Invite these guys. They volunteer. They'd love to come to a meeting and speak up. And whenever you have someone like them to come and advocate, it makes it easier, because you're emotionally involved with your child. Not to say that they're not, but you are. And so it's a little different for you to advocate for your own child. It is for myself. I mean, I have to put on a whole new face for my own child, and I have to take my emotions out of it, which is difficult. And so the same for any other parent. So sometimes if you get someone like them involved, they can advocate for your child when they know what the needs are, or maybe what you think the needs are for your child, or what you would like to see happen. They can kind of be that mediator in between the school and yourself, so that you're not getting emotional, and the school kind of stays in check a little bit, and they are able to provide the resources that your child needs, because they can do it. They can. In the least restrictive setting, they can do it. No matter, there is a way to do all of that, no matter what they say.
Thank you. Do you want to add anything onto that, or?
That was just one example how the audience took initiative. So for those who are listening, don't be shy. Take initiative, please.
Thank you, sister, for your tips for parents. Yes, parents have a lot of rights in the IEP meeting or the 504 meetings, and they should not sign anything that they're not convinced. If the assessment sound like it describe another child that is not your child, please stop it and say, I don't agree. I would like to request an independent evaluation. And you have a lot of right. There is a lot of agency that can help you with the IEP and 504, like DRADF. DRADF gets a lot of fund to help all the families in all the Bay Area. So, and they are, like Sister said, when family contact us, we cannot give them one, but DRADF we can give, because they get money to help parents, but we can't give one, we have to give 3, because otherwise we are promoting somebody. So, and then they can come, they can come to your meeting, they can support you, and sometimes just bringing somebody with you, a professional, even if they don't speak, it gives you a lot of credibility. It's just a support. They tend to behave a lot better. Sometimes we go with the family to a meeting, we don't even talk. Just being there, we find out that they do tend to give parents what they need. It's just that support. If you need it, please don't hesitate and reach out to an organization like this and ask for your rights. Okay? Thank you.
Any other questions or tips or anything? We have these two resources here, so it'd be great to just hear from different people. Okay. If not, if you think of anything else, I'll just move on to another question. Okay.
Okay, Brother Abdullah, so you serve the youth. So I haven't heard too much. This is a pretty new thing that I've heard a little bit. So you're serving the youth community, and it's not, obviously it's entitled Afghan, but it's open to anybody really. So about what age group, because it sounds like maybe toward the teens more or less, or what is the age group that you have the most of right now? I know you're growing.
Okay, so Prop 663 is actually a California prop that was passed long ago, and that promotes mental wellness. And so I'm using that fund to coordinate the programs that I have. Just to elaborate a little more, so yeah, so we do kind of cater to Afghan. Fremont has a large Afghan population. So the background on that is that because the American troops are occupying Afghanistan, a lot of the citizens there are siding with the Americans and are seeking asylum because their lives are endangered. So when they come here, it's a complete culture shock. And so to help them educate them and somewhat assimilate and prepare them for what's to come for the children, that's where I think I do my best work, because I am immigrant. My parents were immigrant born, so I'm first generation. So what I'm currently doing is that the model that we have right now is that we're using subsidized housing areas, since a lot of these people are low-income families, and so we're using their recreational centers as a means to go out there and provide this, utilize the space, and have the kids come in and. So the programs that I'm doing right now are two things. Tutoring, because the children are new to the education, and I'm trying to help them learn how to take tests or teach them tricks on how to solve problems, much shorter, so that way they do have more time, test taking. Tell them about what the road is ahead, because the parents are, again, ignorant. They don't know. And so I teach them about what's to come for middle school, what's to expect in high school, what do you need to do for college, what criteria do you need to follow to meet to reach certain curriculums for other institutions. The other part of the program, what I'm doing, is that's the mental wellness training. America has a lot of invisible disabilities, and subhanAllah, Americans are documenting everything, and so that's an umbrella of illnesses. So once again, that's substance abuse. Unfortunately, domestic violence is very common within low-income families, and you do see a lot of, I don't want to go into that, but they see a lot for their age, even though they're coming from war-torn countries. It's in the home as well. So yes, so you did mention that other populations. So yeah, I do work with Latino community, African community, but majority is unfortunately Afghans, but we do serve the other populations. I just was recently hired, so the best part is I'm working from the ground up, and so I have a lot of room to do other things, because I'm just focused on these two things. I just focus on those, and so if I have a different family with different needs, I welcome it, because it'll provide a new direction where I can focus on.
Any other questions? Okay. Besides the organizations that you guys work for right now, what other kinds of services and activities in the Bay Area should these families that are here right now be aware of that their kids can take advantage of?
I want to talk about the regional center of the East Bay, because that's kind of like it takes. It kind of like takes the kids, especially between the age of 0 to 3. They tend to take any child who has 33% delay in any even in one area. Like they take a lot of little kids because they believe in early intervention, and they do help them so early age, and they provide them with speech if needed, if occupational therapy if needed, PT, I mean physical therapy or any other therapy as needed. They do also provide center-based intervention, like they tend to, if the child is delayed in more than one area, they also enroll them in center-based like Kiringo, or there are some other centers that are focused on the child development. So that's for early intervention, but they do have another category which is status 2. It takes the kids from 0 to the age of 21, and these kids they tend to have 5 categories. One of them is autism, the other category is cerebral palsy, the other one is Down syndrome, intellectual disability, and the fifth one, they call it the 5th category. It's kind of like not diagnosed, but anybody who has any disability that cannot function normally or typically, and then if feel like is not going to function independently, it fits onto that 5th category. They leave it open, so they tend to get them, and then they support them with any service that is denied from the school district or denied from the insurance. It has to be in writing, and the regional center is obliged to cover it if it's proven to be necessary. So, and then they do provide something for parents, which is called the respite. And this respite has 2 different type. One is in-home respite, which is like about 40 hours a month, which parents can get somebody to take care of their children, and they can get a break to run their errands or just relax, doesn't have to worry about their children. And they have the second type, which is the out-of-home respite, in which every child is allowed 21 days a year. And that 21 day or a year, you work with the case manager, she give you a list, and you find a camp. Like, for instance, when the kids are out of school, they have nothing to do, so you put them in a camp for 21 days, and then here the new school year is coming, and then you get a break. And some family chose to have them overnight, which is paid by the regional center. Some family chose only daytime. And some family chose to take, and you don't have to take 21 days at once. Some family chose to take 1 week in New Year, 1 week in spring break. It's up to you. You can take the weekends, every other weekend, whatever. It's your right. You have right to choose how to do that. But it's like an assess. You spend from it. Once it's over, it's over. So this regional center is really very important, and then they also help kids to transition to adulthood, in which like kids who have they found to fit on one of these 5 categories, they tend to help them transition to college, and also help them find a job, and they basically send a coach with them to the work, and they coach them until they feel independent, and they can maintain that work to become independent during later on in life.
So your primary care physician is really a resource for you, for the families with special needs or physical disabilities. Prop 63, like I mentioned earlier, is just a grant that was provided for agencies, nonprofit agencies, to provide their part, and that's usually like the lower end of services. The higher end of services are usually your primary care physician. Kaiser, for example, is known for promoting mental wellness. So for those who do have a Kaiser policy, they are the one who can actually provide workshops and classes targeted to the particular demand that is needed. For the sister who asked me questions exactly what I do, I provide also coping skills, positive, help them identify negative and positive coping skills. I actually took that model from Kaiser. So they have class sessions for adults and children to help better their skills and understanding of what their strengths are and their weaknesses. Other services, I don't know. Just the health industry is where I think is good, and online, of course, is another resources that you can probably ask.
I wanted to add one thing. It's like I forgot because family always they look for agency that can help support their child development, but they are unaware that there are also financial supports for families who are low income. Like for instance, a lot of people don't know about the social security income that supports anybody who has disability. And even I've seen kids who have speech delay getting SSI. I've seen kids who has ADHD getting SSI. A lot of family don't know. They think only if they are blind or they are physically impaired, they can get SSI. But seriously, they even speech delay, they do get it. So this is one thing, and it's mashallah, they get a good amount monthly. So this is one thing they need to know. There is another thing that a lot of families don't know, and especially moms. And in the Muslim culture, they tend to do a lot of stuff to help their kids. They can bath them, they can shower them. I mean, they can feed them, they can do anything out of love, and they don't think that they can be compensated for that time. So there is a service called in-home support services, and this service, like family applied for it, and then a caseworker will come home and will assess the amount of time the mom or any caregiver is spending with that child to make that child comfortable, happy, and safe. Safety is a big one because a lot of family are unaware. They kind of like keep locks on the door because their kids run away, and they don't know that that's actually a big one. It's called protective supervision, and then the family gets the maximum hours. They get about 280 hours a month, and if the family is struggling with safety and the kids is running away, and then they kind of open the door and run, so that's another agency that they need to know about in-home support services.
That response, it sparked out new memories. So to go on, people with, this is targeted for low-income families, so for those who make too much money, I'm sorry. For those who do receive SSI, there are a lot of government opportunities, like the sister said, IHSS, and what was the other one for the 240 hours? Oh, that's the same thing, okay. So, for example, SSI and HSS. Okay, so if you do receive SSI, there's a new policy that's coming up in July where those who do receive some sort of government assistance, they will now accept those to receive food stamps. The minimum is less than $200 a month, so this will save families, a little bit of hardship. Now there's called Lifeline. What's been going on for a few years now, for those who are eligible can receive a free phone in the household. And then if somebody already has a free phone in the household in the program, another person, you can apply and have the same program, so 2 phones in a household. With the food stamps, I think it's called the IBT card. You can find it online, or you can contact us, and we can definitely provide more information. Another big thing that I love to discuss is that utility companies are also providing some sort of subsidized income, or stipend for those who demand much more power in the household. Heating, for example, right? For those who have some problems with temperature, they'll provide a stipend for you in regards of having easy monthly payments. AT&T is another agency that provides phone and internet services for those who receive SSI at a discounted price. And so if you'd like more information, definitely contact us.
Abdullah, I also know you're familiar with the Mental Health Services Act, and so I wanted to know if you could speak a little bit on that and what exactly that means.
I'm going to look at my notes. So Prop 63, it was passed in 2004 November. The California Department of Mental Health, DMH, wanted to increase funding to bring personal and other resources to support county mental health programs and monitor the progress. So our agency is an example. So the goal essentially is to help children transition age youth, adults, older adults, and families. The Act addresses a broad continuum of prevention, early intervention, and services need and necessary infrastructure, technology, services, and training elements that will effectively support this system. It's a new system, so obviously there's new agencies are developing across the county, and so you can contact perhaps your social worker or check online to see if there is a mental health agency near you.
At this point, do we have any other questions? Or any other comments like before? Any tips or anything? Okay.
RCB, actually, the regional center of the East Bay, is rated the best, yeah, in all North California. So that's really, I'm glad you noticed that. So we're very lucky to be in Alameda.
This is kind of a tangent. For those who do have a disabled placard, I want to inform you that if you do have such, take advantage of the opportunities that will come from this. My example that I'm referring to is using that and apply for a national card. What it means is that I don't have the exact name of it, but I just want to educate you on this. If you do have a placard, you're allowed to visit all national parks for free. You can even park there for free. So I went to Hawaii, Alhamdulillah, and so I decided to partake in the national parks. And so I did not have my card, but I did have my placard. And so I was able to get in for free. I went to 3 different sites in Hawaii National Park. So in Yosemite, as another example. So for many Californians that live here, Yosemite Park is heaven on earth. And I like to actually see, please participate. Should me show hands who actually visited Yosemite Park? Alhamdulillah. Okay, good. So you guys are utilizing your resources here. It was my first time going, and I had no knowledge of it. And so there's a man named Mark Wellman. He's a physical disabled individual like myself. He climbed Half Dome. He also climbed other rocks that it's unimaginable. And he's providing services for those family or children who are interested in rock climbing. I just like for you guys to know that information.
Just another question for both of you. I just want to know, at the level of the mosques, because we saw on the Muhsen video that for some of these families that come in, they feel uncomfortable, they feel isolated. What can we do just even more so for this masjid than for others to kind of make this more of a safe space?
I said a lot already as it is, but I'll try to say a different information. Ooh, that's a difficult one. All right, so iftar dinners, I guess you could say, right? Everyone's in line. I have a habit of just being the last one because I understand how people are just really trying to fill their tummies. And so I like to practice patience and self-control. That's another part of what my moral beliefs are. However, everyone's telling me to go in front of the line, or you know, usually the people in line are not taking initiative to be like, sir, please go ahead. Usually the person who's volunteering will be like, sir, you know you have the opportunity to go in front. However, like the sister said, there is a stigma. I don't want people to think that I have this free pass to go in front of the line. So I myself am dealing with this issue because I'm always in the back of the line, and I prefer to be back of the line. And so essentially, it comes down to the brothers or sisters who are waiting in line. They interact with me. They make me feel welcomed. And sometimes they're like, brother, please go ahead. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, and then they assist. And so like that insistence does help because I have my own anxiety. So eventually I will succumb to their kindness. And again, I don't want to rob them from a good deed as well. So that's the mentality I have. So I will take the initiative and go in front. And the next thing you know, I'm in front of the line. And for example, another thing, I guess, waiting in line for the water. There's usually a long line. Everyone's thirsty. Typically, people with disabled or others should be in the front. That's just courtesy. Another example could be, actually, I don't have anything else.
It's actually a very hard question. It's tough. In the masjid, people come to worship. They need to be quiet. They need to be concentrated. And disability, there is a variety of disability. Like if you see visible one, maybe you're psychologically prepared. But some kids, for instance, who have autism or who have oppositional or OCD or whatever it is, it's like very hard to control. And who is blamed for that? Mom. They're always blamed for that. She's not disciplining her kids. She is not a good mom, stuff like that. So maybe what I can suggest, like we have a separate area for women. We can have a separate area for families with children with special needs. This way, whoever goes there, they're not judged and not, especially mom, it's very hard for them. I know a lot of moms that I work with, they never can even think or dream of going to the masjid because they say, my kids are all over the place. And it's normal. Kids go, even typical kids, they go around. And imagine with behavior or whatever they're challenged with, they're out of control. So maybe separate area in which probably that could be a visual thing for community to know that yes, there are different people who need different accommodation and they can start accepting them slowly.
That's actually a really good idea because I don't know if you guys noticed, excuse my language, but there is a new gender that's coming, the transgender community. And if you guys notice, there are special bathrooms for these families. Another example, colleges and movie theaters have family bathrooms or large-sized bathrooms where just the family can go in and tend to whatever that needs to be done. People with special needs family, there are incontinence issues, meaning that bladder and bowel is not something that they control, and the bathrooms, most masjids do not accommodate these families to put one wheelchair in the stall or have somebody assist this. So this is something actually that's developing. We can learn something from the transgender community who are demanding rights to have their own bathrooms. So, so I think that this is something that perhaps masjids can start thinking about in regards of creating bigger stalls or some sort of more larger bathrooms.
At this point, we're going to be starting to wrap up. I don't know if you guys want to say some closing remarks or just anything to the audience before we wrap up.
As a Muslim, I am the ambassador to the religion. As a disabled person, I'm the ambassador to the disabled community. This is something that I took on my own. I do it for selfish reasons. I just want to go to heaven. And so may Allah reward me for it. But essentially, I am somebody who always looks, I'm able to look at myself and be very critical. I suggest that everyone to look within themselves and ask themselves, what are you doing? Where are you going? And how can you make this earth a better place after you leave? And it's not just, it's the small things that counts, Essentially, this has nothing to do with being disabled or not. It's just do your part on what you think you can do to make this world a better place. Whether it just be smiling every time to strangers, or just helping out with your hands, or just be more conscious of that. That's my only suggestion.
I just want to thank you for your time, attention. Yeah.
At this point, we'll have Brother Munir speak, but we'll start heading into the banquet hall to, inshallah, break fast in a little bit.
All right, thank you so much. So let's give a round of applause to Zara, who put this together. Thank you so much, Zara. So she is actively involved to make sure that all our families feel welcome, particularly the special needs family. So never hesitate. It's Zara at mcceastbay.org. You can also get a hold of me, and I'll bring her on the thread, or call me, and happy to do that. I was frantically taking notes while we're talking here to make sure that the MCC is more accommodating to all families, but specifically to this cohort, to the special needs family. So what I heard, we're gonna really work on. So we are happy and honored whenever anybody walks in the door, but we're particularly privileged today for our special needs family. So we're really honored that you all will take time to come out. So we do have a little gift for all of our kids right now and the parents. So after dinner, inshallah, please don't jet just yet. We have something for you as well. I also want to mention that Eid Day, inshallah, we'll be having one service here, and then we'll have 2 services at O'Fallon Park in Dublin. And there we'll have a special tent set up for, a canopy set up for our special needs families, and we'll be accommodating you that way. So you let us know what you need in that area, and we'll accommodate appropriately, inshallah. Also, we are working via Mosque. Sister Zara and I are working with via Mosque with the MCA, which also has a special needs program over there, to have a summer picnic, inshallah, this year for our special needs families, inshallah. So keep an eye on the emails. I think Zara sends it out by email, and we'll put it on the general newsletters as well when we get that. Inshallah, we're looking at late July, early August. Hopefully you guys will not be traveling at that time, but we haven't pinned down a date yet, as of yet, inshallah. And last year, this began with a hope that we'll continue this every year, because that was the first annual special needs iftar. This is the second year. Now it's cemented. So now this is 3rd year, 4th year. So now it's going to be one of these recurring annual programs. I know Zara's going to run off to college soon here, but eventually she's going to leave, I think, her sister, and we're going to be left in good hands, inshallah, to make sure that all the programming continues here. But again, I want to reiterate, we are here for you. We're here at your service, so don't ever hesitate contacting me or Sister Zara. And I really appreciate our 2 amazing speakers today. If you have families that weren't able to watch this or attend today, we did record this, and it's been live streamed as well. So it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube right now on the MCC channel. So you can share this with others. You can also share last year's as well, and that's available to you. So please don't hesitate contacting the speakers and visiting with them right now. And again, thank you all for coming. Jazakallah khair.
I also just want to say a huge thank you to Brother Munir, because none of this would have been possible without him. And so thank you. We should all give a round of applause to him as well. And thank you to both of the speakers who came out here today to be a part of this panel. So at this point, we can all make our way to the banquet hall. All of your children that are with the volunteers will be brought over as well, and we can enjoy a really good dinner. But thank you all for coming to listening to this panel. And like Rachida said, we have flyers from Family Resource Navigators, as well as business cards, and you can come up here and talk to both of them, and they'll also be in the banquet hall during dinner as well. But thank you.